joining us on City Talks with Reuben Abati today. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation.
Thank you for bringing me here today, sir. It's my pleasure speaking with you for the first time.
Okay, well, also my pleasure here speaking with you. I've been reading, some of your statements in the papers since this crisis began. But you were quoted most recently in the papers that the Asuu strike and the problems in the tertiary institution with Asuu and the other unions is not a problem that the Students' Union can solve. And yet, the Minister of Education, before he traveled, made a point that members of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, should sue their lecturers, should take Asuu to court because of the manner in which Asuu has clearly truncated the future of Nigerian students. I'm quoting the minister, not my words. So why do you then say you don't have a role to play in resolving the prolonged strike, as it were?
Thank you so much, sir. Like I've said, if you look at where we have started on this issue of this strike, particularly this strike that started February 14th, we have been agitating for the resumption that we want to go back to school. And this agitation has been taking our time. We have met series of stakeholders. We have led series of protests, and we also formed a university that we call a street university. Virtually all the 36 states that were protests on this issue of Asuu strike, and not that the government not hearing what we are doing, and I think it's one of those things that make the government to double up in meeting with Asuu. And I'm sure you are aware of our meeting with the Minister of Education. Vis-a-vis our education so far, it's based on our support and based on our belief that most of those demands of Asuu are reasonable. And that was the reason why we have been supporting them. And most of these things that we have been supporting them for, the earned academic allowance, the revitalization issue fund, the issue of the IPPS and UTAS, we have done a lot of things. Even when the minister, like what you said, the minister said we should take them to court, we equally rejected the statement from the minister that is the responsibility of the government, that rather we cannot sue our lecturer for liabilities. Rather, the government should do so. But why we are doing that? And as a student leader, as I speak to you, that we have met virtually everybody, and we are also following up. Despite the fact that we are meeting series of stakeholders, the Asuu leadership turned their side to us. They did not open their door for us to meet with them. But we are following up. Just last 2 weeks ago, when this issue of that most of these agitation were being met, according to when I spoke with the ES Education, ES Executive Secretary of University, when I spoke with him, he updated us, and I also spoke with the Minister of Labor. He also updated us. All effort to meet with Asuu on this was abortive. Not that we don't. We have messages that were sent to the Asuu president. I don't know why they don't want to meet with us. I could remember vividly when I called. I went to meet my vice chancellor, Professor Ediola Nekpekun, to call the president of Asuu I don't know reason why he don't want to meet us. My vice chancellor called him and he gave the phone to me. I could also remember again that I called Dr. Ashiru, which is Asuu chairman in Unilag. That why did the president don't want to meet with us? I could also remember when Dr. Ashiru called me. He asked me if I'm in Abuja. I said I'm in Abuja. He even said their president is going to meet us the following day, that around 8 o'clock. He calling my escorts that we should go and meet them in their secretariat. What their president said is traveling out of Abuja, that we are going to meet in the next time. And I quickly called Dr. Ashiru. What am I saying this is, as I speak to you today, since February 14 that this strike has started, I have nothing less than 7 messages that I exchanged between me and the Asuu president. The president did not yield to anyone. The only day that I met the Asuu president was the day that the labor were protesting Abuja here. But all these things that I'm saying is just for you to show that the students have been supporting the Asuu on this agitation. But if this agitation has been met, other union has returned back to work. And if Asuu is now saying if their 6 month salary is not being paid, and as a student, we cannot say because they are our parent, we cannot say the government should not pay their salary. We cannot say they should forfeit their salary. But we are in opinion that Asuu, if indeed the purpose and the reason why they are on strike is because of the future of our university, it's because of the future of Nigerian students, I'm expecting Asuu at this junction to be flexible, not to be rigid to the extent that they will not open the channels to say, okay, we have achieved most of the reasons that led them to the strike. They have achieved it. And the issue of their salary, which I will believe they can find a means of, pursuing that and let our university open. While we are agitating, we listened to the president of Asuu saying if care is not taken, we are going to lose a whole academic section if the government did not pay their 6 month salary. Then I asked my colleagues, the salary, is it part of the reason? This 6 month salary, is it part of the reason why the Asuu was on strike? No, this came up as a result of agitating for reasonable things on campuses. And academic allowance is not for students. Increment of our salary is not for students. UTAS and IPPS is not for students. These things are very reasonable. But we cannot say they should not agitate for their own welfare. The way I agitate for the welfare of Nigerian students. But we will believe Asuu should be reasonable at this junction to say, okay, let us go back to class. And I felt that they should be considerate. They should not insist on if the federal government did not pay the 6 month salary, they will not go back they will not go back to class. Then listen to the Asuu president yesterday while you are interviewing him, saying that some university who are quack. And imagine if a professor who is teaching us, that we refer to as our teacher, can say some university are quack. Who are those universities? So automatically their members who are in those schools that their president referred to as quack. So those lecturers there, those Asuu leadership there are quack. So I felt at this junction, Asuu should not hold Nigerians into ransom because of their 6 month salary. And I equally felt the Trade Union Act, that is Article 43, is there for federal government, to act fast, because I cannot imagine that in 2020 we are home for more than 8 months. The Asuu strike in 2020 were almost going to 7 months as well. Pandemic was part of the problem we had in 2020. In 2021, we only enjoying little, maybe 2 sessions and two semester. And look at 2022. Now we have been on strike for almost 6 months. In University of Calabar, I read it that a son of professor went to remove an engine of Helios worth 2 million naira. So if a son of a professor in the university now is now carrying the property of the university, so you should be expecting what the children of the poor and the poorest will now embark on. Do you know what Nigerian student has also lost in these 6 months? Some of our students who are self-sponsored, who are doing small business within their campuses to sponsor themselves to school, all this business has been scrambled. Now, we have all equally paid house rent in all our campuses. Who is going to pay us now? Some of us will have even left university. Those in other level self will have even graduated before, if we are going to wait. So, if that has been the sacrifice, staying at home, that we have made as a Nigerian student for proper funding of our education, like I have told you, we supported Asuu because most of this agitation are reasonable. But Asuu also masqueraded their own interest into the interest of the tertiary education in the country. That will is normal. But those interests should not, at this junction, the Asuu should not even use those interests to hold Nigeria into ransom. There is need for us, for our university to be open. We are so open to them. So we are calling on them. We are calling on them that they should please honorably to consider and put our interest into a consideration and open our university.
Well, Comrade Ashefon, you've done very well. You've even responded to some of the questions I was going to ask you, because there's been some confusion about whether NANS is supporting Asuu or not over the federal government's declaration that there will be if there is no work, there will be no pay. But here you've made it very clear that Asuu leaders are pursuing their own interests rather than the interest of students. A very well articulated point. But let me ask you this. Now, the federal government, one of the claims of the federal government is that it has made available a certain $100 million, or is it 100 million naira, or is it 100 billion naira, to address some of the grievances of the associations, and an extra 50 billion naira to also address some of the issues raised by the various unions, because it's not just Asuu. 6 unions, according to Malam Adamu, had issues with federal government, although they all joined the strike at various times. Now SANU has decided, as the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, has decided to go back and resume activities in the coming week. Non-academic staff union are also going back. The National Association of Academic Technologies, NAAT, they are also going back. But it's only Asuu that is saying, well, unless all those demands are met, and that what the government has offered amounts to nothing, it is mere promissory note that is to get into the 2024 budget, and that they are tired of the federal government breaking agreements, not respecting agreements, and all these agreements date back to 2009. The recommendations of the Muzali Jibril Committee, the recommendations also of the Nimi Briggs Committee, and various other committees that have worked on this matter. What do you say to all of this? NASU, NAT, and SANU resuming, would that make any difference? Of what use is the tertiary education system without the teachers?
Thank you so much. Let me use this opportunity to comment and salute the courage of the president of SANU, the president of NAT, the president of other unions who are ready to call up the strike. indeed that will help, because I could remember one of my friends came down from Lagos to Ekiti State to get his academics certificate, and he wants to get his transcripts alongside. He could not get it. He could not get it because none of the offices were open. All those offices were locked because NAT, SANU, and they were on strike. But now that they are going back, at least some activities in our campuses would be awake. And let me say this: we are not baby. As a Nigerian student, I do say we are close to the Asuu than the government. But we have to be honest to ourselves. If the same union, other union, yes, the academics union, which is the Asuu, on campus, they are the superior, union, being academic union. If NASU, SANU, and NAT can also say they are going back, I don't believe, if the government has not made a commitment, if the government has not made any commitment, they won't say they want to go back to class and to office. They won't say they want to go back to office. So why is it the only ASU? And the same, like I told you, this junction, I cannot believe, because I'm saying it equivocally again now. I'm saying it. All effort. My messages started from March 9th of March to the president of ASU. And those messages are there. I've been trying to meet with him. You don't meet us, you don't tell us what is happening. The only way we are getting information, we read most of those information on the pages of newspaper, or when we are in Abuja and we try to meet with, is it that the Minister of Labor or the PAMSEC of Ministry of Education. The new PAMSEC of Ministry of Education, I've met with him 3 times on this matter. So, or sometimes I call the ES of NUC just to know what is happening and where they are, and they keep updating us. When we make a request that we want to be part of the negotiation, that was when we met with the Minister of Education, and the minister said the only thing that he can even pick out of their discussion is that we want to be part of the meeting. We will look into it. But I want to tell you, ASU rejected Nigerian students to be part of that meeting. I'm saying it equivocally. The reason being is ASU did not want us to know what is even happening. Go and ask if there is any meeting between ASU and federal government. They are always chasing pressmen out of the meeting. What is inside the meeting that ASU did not want people to even know? At this junction, like I've said, we cannot keep looking. It is our time for us to our university to be reopened. Now, if you go with the statistic on grad now, this September that is coming, over 8,000, 100% of people going out of this country to go and study in abroad. Nigerian has not less than 60% of it. People are getting out of this country not because our universities are not even good. People who are in public school, they are even taking their children to the private school. Yes, I condemn we have condemned the action and the attitude of the government towards funding of education, time without number. Yes, we know the government have their own fault by not funding of education properly the way it should be. But a room is not been in a day. All this demand cannot be. There is no way that you can. If you are going to a table of a negotiation, you must not go with a rigid mind. That is what we are saying. And if they are saying, the last time the minister said everything has been done, The only thing that left is the issue of the 6 month salary. Like I've said here, we cannot say that lecturers should not get their salary because that is what they are using.
Okay, Comrade Chiffon, are you with me? I see that it looks like you're...
To also...
Hello, Comrade Chiffon. Are you still with me?
This 6 month salary. Yes, this 6 month salary we should find another means. We have been the ones suffering this issue. When the two of them are having issue, student has always been at the other side. We always be the one bearing the brunt. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And these two elephants fighting, the government has nothing to lose. The lecturers are saying they must collect their salary. At the end of the day, the student will be the one losing.
Okay.
The majority of now, NYSC has made it compulsory. Once they are 30 years, you cannot even log in. Who will agitate for this? Would anybody, both the government, both the Minister of Education or the President of Asuu, would they agitate for students that, okay, we have wasted your time in 2020 for stay at home for 7 months. In 2022 again, we have wasted your time for staying at home for another 6 months plus. So they have to be considerate.
Okay, comrade.
They have to be considerate.
Comrade Chiffon, I get your point. But quickly, there was a point you referred to earlier on, which I think we can talk about briefly before we take a break, and then to allow you to reconnect your internet because it appears to be timing out. You said, Professor Emmanuel Sodeke, the president of Asuu, referred to some universities as quacks. Incidentally, one of the universities he referred to as quack universities includes Ekiti State University, where you got your postgraduate qualification from. He says Ekiti State is a quack university. Kaduna State is a quack university. He says University of Osun is a quack university. And these are not important universities. That when we talk about universities, we should be talking about
that
University
is unguided statement.
Hello? Hello?
That is unguided statement.
Yeah, but he's president of Asuu. I mean, and he was affirming that he knows
it's unguided statement. The same university, Ekiti State University today, as I speak, produced the governor-elect in Ekiti State. And this same governor-elect in Ekiti State was a former lecturer in political science in Ekiti State University. The university that produced a lot of professors, who they are also lecturers, who are also members of Asuu. How on earth that the president of Asuu will be saying that those universities are not, they are quacks? How could you be saying that they are quacks? What is the meaning of that?
It means that they are pretenders. I think they are impersonating. They are not up to standard.
Impersonating because in the first instance, sir, may I ask a question? Let the Asuu member in my school come out and tell us and tell Nigerian students in Ekiti University their benefits in joining this strike. They should tell us why is the state university joining this strike? What is the basis? Would they be beneficiary of the end academic allowance from the federal government? Would they be a beneficiary for increment of salary from the federal government? Is it not the Dr. John Kayode Fayemi, who is a visitor to the university, that will control approve the increments of salary or end academic allowance? How does this strike, how does this struggle by the Asuu leadership affect the Asuu or the members of the lecturers in Ekiti University? I've argued with some of them, and what they said is in solidarity. In solidarity that you have put Nigerian students in Ekiti University and other state university into a state of comatose for over 6 months now. At the end of the day, if this strike is being called off, what your colleagues in federal university are asking for, you cannot be a beneficiary of it. So these are things that we need to look into. I think it is high time for the state governor to even look into. Yes, I appreciate governors In Kogi State, all the universities in Kogi State, they were in session. Academic activities is going on smoothly. In Asuu State University, yes. In Lagos State University, yes. In Delta State University, everything is going on well. Because at the end of the day, now, if they call up this strike, those state universities who are not on strike, if anything is coming on the revitalization, are you not saying if anything is coming from TET Fund will now say because Prince Audu Abubakar University, because you don't join strike, you not be a beneficiary to what you supposed to get from TET Fund. So, what is the reason? What is the motive behind it? I asked lecturers in my school, they should tell us. State university lecturers should tell us the reason why they are on strike. They should tell us. Our colleagues in those state universities that they didn't join this strike, are they not human beings? Are they not students? So the president of Asuu came online saying those universities are quack. It's unguided statement.
Okay, well, just before we go on,
we don't expect such from an erudite professor like the Asuu president. We don't expect that. And I'm sure he's going to apologize because those universities, they have been reacting to it. And I'm sure he's going to come out and I'm sure those universities should demand for an apology for saying that.
Well,
a university that is open for learning and academics, and someone is saying it's a quack.
Well, some of the universities have issued statements to respond, just to set the record straight. Osun State University, Kaduna State University, Ekiti State University, they've all issued statements to say that they are not quack universities, that they are properly constituted universities, and that
Yes.
they are intellectuals in their own right who are also producing students who have moved on to greater heights. But before we keep the lines open, let me quickly ask you. There was a report during the week that the National Parents Teachers Association of Nigeria, the members are asking for a meeting with the Federal Ministry of Education to discuss a proposal from their end to ask every parent to contribute 10,000 naira per session as a way of helping federal government to look for money. Don't forget that the NEMI-BRICS recommendation in terms of increase in salaries, 119% and thereabouts, would, according to federal government negotiators, cost the Nigerian government about 1.1 trillion naira. And that the Nigerian government does not have that 1.1 trillion. So parents now want to say, okay, as parents, let's contribute 10,000. What do you think of that proposal?
Well, as a parent, I'm sure Mr. Reuben Abati, you have a lot of children in your house, your family, your cousins who you also send it to school. I don't know. Yes, because as a parent, what you a parent also always look for. They look for a better tomorrow for their children, and that is the reason why parents felt there is need for them to meet with the federal government and contributing money for supporting the federal government. But to me, as a president of NANS, if government said, I'm sure the government will not say, yes, come and be contributing that money. Yes. That proposal is just, to me, is just to tell the government that if you said yes to this proposal, automatically the government has lost it totally. Because the part of the civic responsibility of any government is to provide a sound and qualitative education for their people, and also to protect the life and property of any government. And I do say it, nobody, even a councillor, will tell you one of their manifesto is they will support education. Ordinary councillor starting from there. So a governor, when you see a blueprint of any governor or even a senator or a rep, talk less of a president, you cannot see before you read the agenda from 1 to 3. Education will be there. So I think it is the responsibility of the government. But I don't believe that looking at what is happening in this country, where we see an Accountant General embezzle over 106 billion. The same week, we are seeing the NDDC, is it DG or MD of NDDC? The same week that Accountant General was arrested, he was also being picked up for another 40-something billion. These are individuals. So these are individuals. So if the government are saying they don't have money, I don't believe that. And I've said it out with that number. I was in a program yesterday, day before yesterday, and I said it. If our government is proactive if they are proactive to some extent, they should look at this issue of insecurity in our country. Where did we get it wrong? We get it wrong because our government fails to look into a proper, monitoring of our education sector. Look at dropout students. Look at out of school children. When you look them, they end up becomes bandit. They end up become, armed robber. Because they don't look at them. The money that the government is investing on security. If the government can invest it on education, we don't even need to be importing arms. Those money that we are using to importing arms, if we take care of education properly, it will definitely reduce it. The majority of these people that they want to kill themselves, they call themselves banditry, do they have education? If you go and check their background, they are out of school children who later, when they are roaming about the street, at the time, when bandits and Boko Haram are recruiting with just 10,000 naira. So, if they were in school, if they were being given appropriate education, all these things will not happen.
Okay.
All these things will not happen.
Okay. Comrade Ashefon, President of the National Association of Nigerian Students. At this point, we'll take a quick break. And then after that break, we will open up our lines for persons who have joined us on social media and who are listening to us at home and who are following us, across the world to make their own interventions. Remember, if you want to be part of this conversation, you can call us on 0700 1051 1051 and on WhatsApp 09099164403 and on our social media accounts at City 1051 on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. And our guest is still President of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, Comrade Sunday Ashefon, who is discussing the subject of Asuu and the prolonged strike. We'll take this quick break. It will be very brief, and then we'll come back to you with your interventions. We'll be right back. Stay with us. It's still City Talks with Reuben Abati. With Reuben Abati on your number one lifestyle station, City 1051. And I remain your host. And today we've been discussing Asuu and the prolonged strike. I have with me the President of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, Comrade Sunday Ashefon. If you want to be part of this conversation, you can call us on 07001051 1051 and on WhatsApp 09099164403 and on our social media accounts at City 1051 on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. I see some hands up already on Zoom, but first let's take this call.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Abati, I greet you.
Thank you.
I hope this is Moses from Solo. I hope my bushmeat is back with you. Anyway, good that this is apt and very topical. Look, I have no pity for anything unionism, Asuu, NLT, and whatever. someone going to lecture in University of Lagos. But today, in retrospect, I thank goodness and definitely that I never joined that cabal because I call them cabal. They don't mean well. They don't mean well. One piece. I'm not sorry for the university, the Asuu president castigated. I've been calling them inferiors or whatever I call them. Neither am I supporting him. It's like pot calling to black. They are both irresponsible. Those test schools that join Asuu, so do they hold you? I have someone I can call his son who entered or who came admission into a Christian university in 2017. His boy is still in year 3. 5 calendar years, he's still battling to finish the third level in engineering. We know what we paid when they enter school. Yes, state schools that you are not being hold. You say you are doing solidarity. So that is my food. It's about time government took a strong stand on Asuu and all forms of unionism. Let me take a bit down in history. When unionism was getting out of control in Britain, and they were responsible for the downfall of 3 successive governments, when Tata assumed rule, she knew that this is one monster I must face headlong, and she saved them. She saved them. She wrote on the fact that people were getting tired. They getting as in their union then had become nuisance. So they ruled on that. They formulated laws and policies, and they crippled unionism forever. Ask Reagan in 1981, some airliners, some unionists like that, they threatened to go on strike. He gave them 48 hours to listen. They did not listen. Before after 48 hours, he sacked 11,000 plus workers. Heaven did not fall. Fashola sacked lecturers in Lagos. Heaven did not fall. He sacked doctors. It's about time government did something. Asuu doesn't mean well. As I said, I am an insider. I know what obtains them. It is because of ISIS that will expose their shenanigans and their corruption. Because ISIS was meant to harmonize. This same ISIS is used among the Nigerian military. You can cross-check. Nothing has gone on with ISIS. ISIS was meant to harmonize how they are being paid. As a lecturer, you lecture in one place, but you have the power to go as 15 lecturers in 2 or 3 universities. That's the law. When they go there incognito, collecting 3 different salaries, and then it's corruption. And yet they criticize. This is game Asuu. They will not call sexual harassment against them. They will collect money from boys. Some boys will be so desperate. Yahoo, just to special lecturers. In same Asuu, a PC was one alleged recently to have renovated a building for 49 million naira. Reuben, waiting 49 million naira to renovate their heaven, and they keep talking. They don't mean well. Look, it's about time government stands on and protect the Afghan. Babangida protected in 1988. Heaven did not fall. They don't mean well. Reagan starts 11,000 plus in one. America is still standing. These guys don't mean well. They are only dubious. I think it's their corruption, and that's why they are fighting.
Okay.
Responsible. Thank God, schools like Asuu and some other states are still working. Thank you, Dr. Reuben, and welcome back to Lagos.
Thank you very much. We'll take more reactions, but please, can we just start by identifying who is speaking, and then let's keep the comments really short. Our guest, I'm sure, is keeping track of the various interventions. Who is next on the line?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Jonathan. In Nigeria, all these associations that they are doing and unions, they are just using it to eat. Because this longer head that Asuu is doing, they are doing it for their own pocket. Because before you know it, money will start exchanging, and one day, even at the end of everything, that's what they are fighting for. They will not see meet it after their pocket is freed up. And for now, I don't think that our universities has made now to even have any power to contribute anything to them. Now, most of all these federal government schools, they collect school fees, they collect levies, they even collect what they used to call acceptance fee. What do you use those money for? They ask the student union collect student union levy and all those from more than 50,000, 40,000 students. What do they use the money for? The president is there. You know that Asuu in every university collect money for the student union levy, departmental levy. What are those money used for? What are they used to start the payment of lecturer salary? Thank you. That is my own contribution.
Okay, before I come back to you, Comrade Sunday Ashefon, I see Adekunle Ayomide's hand up here on Zoom. If we could have Adekunle Ayomide go ahead very quickly to make his own contribution. Adekunle Ayomide, are you still with us? Hello, Adekunle Ayomide, I see his hand up. Engineers, please, if you could admit him and allow him to make his contribution. Okay, while we're waiting for that to be sorted out, we'll take another call. Hello? Hello? Okay, we lost that. Who else do I see on the screen here? Dr. Boniface Chizia. I see Dr. Boniface Chizia's hand up. Dr. Boniface Chizia?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Reuben Abati from Songo.
Oh, is it AB from Songo? Okay, that's a direct call. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati.
Okay, Reuben, I have unmuted. I don't know.
Okay, just hold on, Dr.
Okay,
Chizia.
can I just, okay.
No, hold on, Dr. Chizia. I will come back to you.
Okay.
We have AB from Songo.
Songo.
Just a second.
Yeah, I want to say that Asuu, when the ovation is loud, everybody has already supported them because the ovation is. This time around, I expected the Asuu to call up their strike. Yes, we agree that your money, your salary is being owed. I mean, when you resume, Nigerians now begin to press and say, look, the money they are owing us, the salary they are owing them, they should pay them, they will pay. But when you now decide to say, no, you are not going back to the school, I mean, the students have been affected, just like what the non-president is saying. The students have been affected. I expected the Asuu to look the other way again and at least allow them. Because I know that most of these lecturers, they work in so many, they lecture in so many universities. They are making money in private universities. They are making investments. Who is holding them accountable for doing a PP job? Nobody is holding them. So what are we talking about? If they are owing you salary, they will pay back. He said, no problem. All what you do is go back, allow the students, allow Nigerians to pay for you that your salary must be paid. And I'm sure the government is listening. They will pay your salary. But when you say because your salary is not paid, you are not going back to work, it's unfortunate. So I think I want to call on the Asuu president to shelve their distance and go back latest at least before the end of this month. Want to see them in class, in their classes, lecturing our children. God bless Nigeria.
Okay, thank you, AB Songo. I'm sure Comrade Ashefon has heard you very well. Let's take quickly the intervention of Dr. Boniface Chizia, and then we go back to Comrade Ashefon to respond to some of these comments.
Okay.
Yes, Doctor, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, my brother. I think that in this country we better get serious. I think that's exactly what I want to say. Countries that are interested in moving forward, they don't joke with education. You cannot joke with the training of your students. People going to school and being educated. That's a fundamental platform you must have as a nation to grow. And what is happening now is totally and completely unacceptable. The government, Asuu, all of us have a responsibility. It should not just go on like that. It goes on for 6 months. Every year there's a strike, and nothing is happening. Nobody is saying anything. It's not an issue that I think we should pigeonhole and say it's between Asuu and government. No. I think the whole nation should rise up in arms and say totally that this is not acceptable and it must stop. What the school says 26%. We just managed to do 7%. And the president of Asuu made the point that there are no consequences. Government election is coming. There must be consequences. This is what you must have in this country. Otherwise, we will not have a turnaround. Thank you, Reuben.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chizia. Comrade Ashefon, let me come back to you. I'm sure you've listened to some of the contributions, but I still have 2-3 more persons who would still like to express their views. But briefly, if you could respond to some of the concerns. Many of them, of course, agreeing with you.
Thank you so much, sir. Let me, for those who have been reacting before this, my father, who just left now, I want to thank you for calling on Asuu. Everybody has been on their side. Like I have said, most of their demands are reasonable. If we are, what time the comment of my father that just left now, because Asuu saw there is election in 2023, is Asuu saying they want to be at home till 2023? have agitated that Asuu should go to, when you are going for a meeting, you must go with a mind that you cannot win all. But once you are going for a meeting and you want to win all, Asuu need to be flexible in handling this issue. If Asuu now saying because election is 2023, do they want to keep us at home to 2023? And if they are doing that, that shows the strike is political. If they are doing that, it shows it's beyond what they are demanding for. Like I've said, the majority, the reason why someone like us, I said it when I was the Minister of Education. The reason why 99% of Nigerians today will key in to the struggle of Asuu is because of the revitalization of our university system. Any other thing, when I met with the Minister of Labour, I look at the agenda between the Asuu and the Minister of Labour or Ministry of Labour and Education. From 1 to 8, the only thing that I can pick there that is for me and Mr. Reuben Abati and for your children is the revitalization. Every other thing in that item is for the welfare of the members of the Asuu. And as a student, we cannot say that they should not agitate and get the welfare for themselves, because Asuu also have their own children in the university. But the thing is, they need to be considerate. Our university need to be open. Government cannot do it at once. Now, it is for the past for over 8 or 10 years now. The kind of the stakeholders, Asuu should look at the kind of solidarity Labour gave to them on this matter. It has never happened before. The way students rose and support Asuu, it has never been before, because we saw genuinity in most of those things that they are demanding for. That was the reason why we stood by them. But if by now it is because of their salary and they felt they will come out to the public and tell the public what the public want to listen to, no, we don't want that again.
Okay, comrade.
We don't want that again. We don't want that again.
Okay, comrade. Let's
our university needs to be open. We are tired of staying at home. Nobody will compensate us. Nobody will pay. They will not. If we resume now, you will see circulars upon circular. If you have not done you have not completed your registration, you will just see timetable for exam. And that timetable for exam, most of the management of our school now, they are broke. Once we resume now, you see circular upon circular, go and pay this, go and pay that. We are paying. I know some university, some federal university who are new university today, who are paying almost 150,000. So let us enjoy what we are paying for. This thing, this system has a fault. Yes, it is our interest that the fault must rectify. But rectifying it, people who are using the system should not be totally lost out. We are losing out.
Okay.
We are losing out. And our future matters on this issue. Both the federal government and Asuu, like I do say, if there's anything that the federal government also has reached with Asuu, they should make sure those things have been implemented. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, thank you, comrade. Let's just take 1 or 2 more interventions, and then we'll call it a day. We'll come back to you to just wrap it up.
Hello.
Hello, please go ahead, and please keep it very brief. We're running out of time.
Dr. Abati. Yes, my name is Ambrose, and I live in Mowe. Dr. Abati, what goes around comes around. We are bashing Asuu, and then as if Asuu don't have rights they are living. If Asuu, according to your guest, has been fighting for the students, and now hello,
Ambrose from Mowe, please go ahead.
yes, if Asuu, according to your guest, has been fighting for the interest of a better tertiary education, according to your guest, and because of that now they were on strike, is it justifiable for the federal government to hold their salary? More particularly that all of this that we have been saying since morning, the politicians, what contribution are they contributing to the development of this country that they receive so much and yet they contribute so little? Our educational system has become so porous that, all the politicians' children are traveling abroad. Okay, now, if their children were to be here and then Asuu is on strike, I will understand. How many of their children are here? I mean, they should pay them their salary. If they don't have the money to pay them, they should tell them that they will be paying them 1 month, gradually until they finish paying. They always tell you there is no money, but when it is time to build a railway station, they will have money. Now the US just released some money to the federal government. Why didn't they use it? You see, it's always easy for us to castigate, and the education is precipitating, the economy is precipitating. Our children, I have 3 children that are supposed to be in the university now. They are precipitating, and somebody is coming here, they just abuse us. Is it easy to be a doctor, a professor? If people just castigate people for no reason, and then they where they are, if you go and check where they are, some of these people, they are more corrupt than even Asuu. They are here condemning Asuu, bringing Asuu down. Look, I want to advise the president of the National Association of whatever. If it is true that the president of Asuu is refusing to have a meeting with them, it is wrong. And I want to advise, that man that he should find a way. Of course, it's students are to resume, and I'm feeling the heat. The president of NANS there is talking some sentences, but I want to think that it's more in solidarity. That's my personal opinion with the federal government, who have never learned to manage anything.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ambrose from Mowe. Just before we go, I also see someone's hand up there, Mr. Lanre Babalola. If we could have Mr. Lanre Babalola's intervention, please, quickly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abati. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Yes. It's unfortunate that Asuu has been on strike for this long. I'm sure most members of Asuu were products of Nigerian universities. And, yes, we want a better university education, but if you go on strike, you should not expect your employer to pay you. I think that it's clear labor law. The strike has been stretched for too long. These kids are home. They most of them don't have any other thing to do. And like that they say, Anadu had his devil's workshop. So Asuu should please go back to work, and then they can agree with the government on how to move things forward for the sake of Nigerian students, for the sake of the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other caller on the line? If we don't, we'll just go straight back to Comrade Sunday Ashefon, President of the Nigerian Association of Nigerian Students, for his remarks. Hello? Yes, Comrade Ashefon, please go ahead. I can see you. Hello? Comrade.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please go ahead. Your closing remarks and also your reaction to some of the two interventions we just had. Yes.
Indeed, I want to. Yes, I think the line was breaking. I could not hear the the reaction of those two people, but I'm sure the last person was talking about there is need for Asuu to return back to class, and which that has been a major agitation. And like I have said, if they have to quote me, if Asuu now is insisting on their 6 month salary, and if that 6 month salary is not being paid, they will not call up this strike. And they said they are looking out to 2023 election. It shows, like I said, it shows this strike. This strike should go, and the government who can meet the demand of SANU, NATS, and other union that they are returning to office now, to work now, also should also double and follow suit. And if they fail, like I've said, it is our time for Nigerian students to start calling out. And particularly, we are calling on our state governors. I've said time with that number. What is the benefit of a state university? That is my university in joining this strike. Say their solidarity over those fruit. So I think their university to return back to work. So that is the only thing, because we have, who will pay us for what we have lost? Who? The house rent, the businesses of most of our students who are.
Hello, Comrade Ashefon. Okay, you are still with us.
Calling from university quack. It is uncalled for. It's a unguided statement.
Well, on that note, Comrade Sunday Ashefon, on that note, I would like to thank you very much for taking time out to be part of this program today. And I also like to thank all of you who called in, those who listen to us on radio in every part of the world, and those who reach out to us via the social media on Zoom, Facebook, and other platforms. Remember, the conversation does not end here. You can still reach out to me on my personal social media account at Abati1990 on Instagram, and also at City1051 on all social media platforms. For those of you who tuned in late, there's no need to worry. You can visit City1051 YouTube page to watch the entire show. And when you do so, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave comments. And don't forget to tune in next week at 12 noon for another exciting edition of City Talks. My name is Reuben Abati. The show was produced by Charles Flames, Oluwaseun Adetitun, Ayodamola Oludara, Oluwatobiloba Samson, Abiodun Odunton, and Ezekiel Olawome. The executive producer is Adedoja Allen.